So I was just fixing up some fence over there between the canal and our pasture where the cows have been escaping. We found a little hole in the back there. They were getting around the canal. But today I want to talk about these cows and some of the magic they do. Now over here, this used to be, I couldn't even see through this when we first got to the property. It was just filled with grape leaves. You can see they're starting to come back. That's what the cows are snacking on right now, is those wild muscadine grape leaves. And they're just having a grand old time back there. It's like sweet tomatoes for cows. But they love these things, and they help me clear this land out. And they're doing more than that. So they're doing a lot for me. A lot of people think cows are like bad for the environment, whatever. A lot of vegans think it's bad to eat beef because of the methane. Here, if you run, it all depends on how your system is. So we have our cows out on pasture. They get moved pretty frequently. They're not sitting in their own muck. And we pick up their manure and we actually put it on a compost pile. That compost pile helps feed our chickens. We turn it into compost. And the methane actually doesn't come out of the compost because our chickens are tilling through it. So that methane gets turned into different gases, and it's not as bad for the atmosphere as people think. Now, if you're doing this in a barn and you're just stacking all your manure on top of each other and there's nothing moving the manure around and aerating it, yeah, you could create a lot of methane, but it all depends on your system. But I just want to talk about that and show you what these cows can eat and just kind of the magic they can do to a field. So this was like wild before, like you couldn't see through here. It just was bushes and vines. And they've been back here a couple times now, and look at the soil. I usually have sand, but they've just eaten everything back. It's just beautiful to see what they can do to a field. You can kind of see that line there. That's where it used to be tall grass where you couldn't see through at all. And there she is, just mowing through those grape leaves. And they like the grass too. But the grape leaves they seem to be very fond of. But yeah, none of this, when we first got here, we couldn't walk through this at all. This was like all overgrown and crazy, and now we can finally start walking through it. There's even a path back here the cows have been walking through. Here's Coco eating some grape leaves. The horns in her. The little horns are getting big. So they're saving me fossil fuels. I'm not going to have to come cut this. I'm not going to have to get a chainsaw back here. I'm not going to have to get a lawnmower back here. I'm turning the manure into chicken food, into compost for my garden. It's going to be a source of organic fertilizer. I'm not going to have to go drive to the store to buy fertilizer. Fertilizer's not going to have to get carted in for my garden, for my fruit trees. It's kind of amazing how symbiotic a whole system can be. You can have a few animals on your land and they can really help you out with some stuff. And they eat a little bit of everything. A lot of people think cows will just eat grass, but if you kind of move them around and give them a limited area, they'll eat whatever. And here's a seashell. I find these all the time. And I know some are imported in, but some of these I feel like this had to be all covered in water at some point. There's big seashells everywhere. You see the cows there? Maybe Noah's Ark was onto something. But look at the difference between the pasture and where they started clearing out. So this was like all weeds about waist high before. You couldn't even see past this. And they're just back there at the buffet, having a grand old time. So there's the line there. I don't know if you can see that too well. And look at our pasture now. So some of the grass is starting to come back. Things are looking nice.